and welcome to another episode of Talk That Get Results, the first episode in the new year 2019. I'm Everett Weber Herbert, and as per usual, we are here every Tuesday evening with something that at least we think is of community interest and or of some concern. And if you think that you have something which fits into that category, you'd like to find out how you can be a part of the program, well, why don't you drop us a line, address it to the Let's Talk program in care of Vaughan Radio, P.O. Box 195, Charlestown in Nevis, or give us a call. Our numbers are 1-869-469-1616 and or 1700. And by the way, those will be the numbers that you'll use to be a part of this evening's discussion. Again, thank you all very much for joining us. This is your voice in the community, Talk That Get Results. With regard to your participation in the show, we encourage you to call in on the numbers listed 1-869-469-1616 and or 1700. Here's a suggestion. You got a question or a comment, perhaps you can get a pencil, piece of paper, write it down so that when you're getting on the show, you are well organized and take as little time as possible so that we can accommodate as many of you as we can. We ask only, first of all, you respect yourselves and respect others, because we will not accept anything we deem not within our broadcast standards. This is Talk That Get Results. I want to thank all of you for the support over the past year and the past years, and being able to help us to come through to another year. We'll see what it has in store for us. We wish you all the very best. Dr. Patricia Bartlett, good evening.
Hi, good evening, Webo. Good evening to my fellow panelists. Happy New Year to all. Webo, please allow me to just extend Happy New Year greetings to some of my favorite people, Anne, Pam, and Mr. Martin in the VI, and Sylvie and Henry, cousin Cedric in St. Kitts, cousin Terry, also over there in St. Kitts. Here in Nevis, I found out about the holidays that we have so many fans. I didn't even realize that. I really, I'm very humbled. We have a lot of fans here, and I just don't want to get into trouble and start calling names of the people who live on Nevis, But I'm tempted, really, to single out some people, but I'm getting good advice from one of my panelists saying, don't do that, you're going to get in trouble, because there's so many. But Happy New Year to everybody out there, and I'm just hoping that this year, all of the New Year resolutions, I don't know if people are still into doing that, but for those of you, because I really didn't, for those of you who have made New Year's resolutions, I'm just hoping that you would really put in the work and you'll get it, you'll find the fruits at the end of the year. You'll be much better off as a person. And I'm hoping that this year we would concentrate on the humanities. Let us, be humble. Let us be civil. Let us be kind to one another. Those who didn't have, to give Christmas, don't feel bad about it. It wasn't even, because I just asked a friend of mine today, why is it during Christmas we are giving other people gifts? It's not even their birthday. Most people don't even have birthdays in December, but we are giving them gifts. We don't have to feel bad that you didn't have a gift to give me. So wishing all the very best for the new year.
Ted Hobson, good evening.
Good evening, Webo, and good evening to my fellow panelists. And I want to wish all of the people of this country and those who are living abroad and who listen to this program a very happy and prosperous new year. And for my wish for this country is that of prosperity, stability, and of course a significant reduction in criminal activity. Because unless we tackle this business of crime in this country, we're going to be in for serious problems, not only in 2019, but for the years to come. This is a very important subject, the question of crime, and we need to tackle it, and tackle it very strongly and expertly. So I'm looking forward to an interesting program tonight, and I am happy to be here once again, Webo.
The Honorable Spencer Brand, good evening.
Good evening, Webo, and good evening to my colleagues around the table. Let me say a very special good evening to all those persons who are listening to this program at this time, the first for the new year. Let me also join with my colleagues to wish everyone a happy and healthy and prosperous and safe New Year 2019. I believe that while we continue to make our New Year's resolution, as Dr. Bartlett would have indicated, is wanting to make New Year's resolution, but it's left to the individual to work at it. Webo, I believe that, well, 2018 is now in the history books, and we would have started 2018 and ended 2018 with the loss of a number of our citizens, some who would have left us via the natural progression of age, some who would have succumbed to one illness or the other, some who would have left us via the violence of crime in 2018. I hope that as a community that we can continue to remember our folks who would have left us fondly. I hope that we can continue to remember their families as they continue to struggle with the loss of their loved ones in 2018. It's not easy to lose a loved one, and I'm hoping that while we start this new year, we can continue to remember them. But I want to call up on our parents in particular, and in particular our fathers, to be a bit more responsible and take up the challenge of becoming more involved in the lives of their children. I believe that the greatest gift that any parent can give to their children is to be a good example. And I want to encourage our parents, and especially our fathers, to be that good example to our children. If they would have fallen short in 2018, I hope that they can step up to the plate in 2019 and be that good, shining example to help our children to be on that right and safe path in life. The greatest thing I believe that we can do to our children is to, like I said before, give them that good moral example. And I want to say, Webo, to all of our people, I know Mr. Stanley speak about it very often, that we can do a bit more, we can produce more. I want to suggest to our people that dig a little deeper and buckle down, produce, set their goals, set their targets, and work towards it. I don't believe that anything in life comes easily. Nothing is free. But I believe that if you set your goals and if you set yourselves towards certain targets in life, that you can achieve them with discipline. So I just want to encourage our people to be a bit more kind, more generous, more respectful, the way we carry ourselves, the way we relate to each other in the workplace, in the home, in our society, on social media as well, how we relate to each other. I just want to encourage us, and I believe that at the end of it we can be a much better society. Webo, thank you once again for the invitation, and I certainly look forward to participating in tonight's discussion and in additional discussion.
Edric W. Stanley, good evening.
Good evening, Webo. Good evening to my fellow panelists. And I hope they all had a very good Christmas. I had a very busy Christmas, a very good Christmas. And I must apologize to the people of Church Ground and King Garden for not being present at the Christmas tree lighting ceremonies, simply because I was so busy. But I do feel it at the bottom of my heart of not being present to those activities. The thing is that I love to sing, especially Christmas carols. And Christmas, of course, has been the time, for me particularly, very, very good. As a child, it's the only time I get my belly full. And it was always great to look forward to Christmas. And I'm certain I'm not the only one. Because for whatever reason, during Christmas, Mom always found food, a lot of food to be in the house. But at other times, we had to make do with whatever was there. But praise the Lord, we have all pulled through. And again, I hope everyone in Nevis, St. Kitts, and of course, indeed, wider region of the world, had a very, very good Christmas. Webo, let me leave it at this juncture because I've got a lot to say. The power of broadcasting, especially radio. I will say a little more on that later, Webo.
Edric W. Stanley. Ted Hobson. The Honorable Spencer Brand. And Dr. Patricia Bartlett. They're the heavyweights. They're in. This is the first edition for 2019, and we thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back after these.
Queen City, Nevis, this is the powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean, Vaughn Radio.
Just arriving at Builder's Paradise. Brand new mirror bypass doors. Sizes include 4 feet, 5 feet, and 6 feet. Oh, and don't forget to check out their Saturday yard sale for even better discounts. Builder's Paradise, where your island dreams begin.
Back in this episode of Thought That Get Results with Dr. Patricia Bartlett, Ted Hobson, the Honorable Spencer Brand, and Edric W. Stanley. Edric, I'm going to go back to you because you have a lot to say.
Well, I came at the Christmas party. My presence was quite brief, but I was elated to see the number of people and children who showed up at this Christmas party. And this, of course, has been the hallmark of advertising, but more especially that which came from the mic of Vaughn Radio through the great Webo Herbert in terms of inviting the children for Christmas. And I recognize that other people may have followed suit, but based on what I saw here, of course I came a little late. I did say that I had some visitors to pick up at the airport, thus I was not here in the length of time I would have liked to, but it was a great Christmas party for the children, and I'm certain the parents enjoyed it. So again, the power of broadcasting, especially radio, Vaughn Radio especially.
Well, I thank you, Edric, for opening up with that, because I needed to say something as well, and you know, it slipped me. So I thank you for saying that, but I'd just like to add how I'd like to thank the persons who contributed in whatever way, because I don't expect that everybody's going to bring some cash, or everybody's going to bring a bottle, or everybody's going to bring some present. But if you just support it, and you just wished it well, that's enough for us, right? And we had a little hiccup or two, and we apologize for it, right? But as you said, I think that the kids and the parents, in the end, and everybody else, understood that. You know, 1 or 2 hiccups beyond our control, and it all worked out in the end. And so we're very much appreciative again. And it is amazing. I'm going to put the list together at some other time, but it is amazing again how freely and willingly people give and the things that they choose to support. And when we ask for people who are in the teens and 20s, I say, you all come and help us with these kids, you know. I mean, people showed up, and they just did the part that they had to do. Now, all these years I've been managing, that's my style. I like when people can do their part, and it works smoothly. And you know, Edric, when I campaign and I advertise for these kind of things, I always also disinvite the others who are not interested. You know what I'm saying? If you're not interested in helping,
Detractors.
yes, please don't come. You can stay and criticize and so, but please don't come. And they heed the voice too, so they didn't come. So that's a light moment. So again, we want to thank everybody who contributed. By the way, the fellow who promised he's going to was gonna send the what they call them, Fracos, the ice lolly or whatever, wherever you call them, from St. Kitts. He did. You know, a listener, I believe it was Rodney Elliott. The gentleman called in and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I just make these ice lolly or Fraco, whatever you call them, and I would have loved to make about 100 or so and send them for the kids." And I said, "Well, that's too bad." But he said he was in St. Kitts. So by the time they come over, they'll melt. And that is what I like about when you involve everybody. So this lady, I believe is Rodney Elliott, she calls me up and she says, "Webbo, I got an idea." I said, "What's that?" So you see the man who said that he could send the things them over? I will give you a cooler. And you send the cooler down on the boat, he put them in, he come over and then we freeze them. And the guy had enough time, he made them the evening, freeze them, we send the cooler down, and it worked out perfectly. And, you know, but this is a light moment, Edric. The fella is something like you. Because though they were for kids, he sent specially for the girls who work here. So that was neat. so yeah, and people like Kevin, you know, across the road there, we ordered some stuff for him. He said, "What pay? That's for the kids." And Janice the Panis, you know, we didn't tell her anything, but she showed up with her entourage, her music and everything, and she played some Christmas songs. And the fellow from Brickhill, now I can call his name is Roy. He lives down the range. He brought his big drum. Everybody tells me Roy is a bluff. That's why I wouldn't call his name. And they said, "Roy will never come." A lady met me and she said, "Mind you, he's a bluff, you know." I said, well, I look around and said, "Well, who is this lady?" She said, is my brother. So I tell myself, if his sister says so, then it got to be so. So anyway, they told me Roy was out there. So Roy came, and then, you know, those other fellas with the string band, Sugar Hill, they're always here, so they were here as well, and so on. And as Edric said, I didn't even get to see everybody. But people came, they made a contribution. If we don't mention it, don't feel any way about it. Because as I said, when we do things, it's never Von Radio. It's we're doing this thing. And we're having this campaign. And one more time, every time, including this last time, that we've done something together, never fail. And finally, Edric, I'm going to turn the microphone back over to you. One of your greatest fans met me today. They're always giving me messages to give you. Stopped me, you know, I almost got a traffic ticket. And he told me, "Edric is great." So anyhow, this was the time when he was running, he would have won. I don't think that's funny.
Well,
he went before his time.
Yeah.
It's a good laugh. And laughter is always healthy. And to be honest, I'm not bent on being a public servant.
You are.
When I say that, in terms of serving in the legislature or the parliament, as the case might be, because I know it is an awesome responsibility.
Well, I think the guy meant, now that you just spoke about the power of radio, yes, and Von Radio, and now that you've done that and you have that under control, and you remember you said that if a man wants to and he has to have something else, I think he thinks and he knows that you have that covered as well. So you got the stuff.
Well, listen, it is always good to hear these comments and compliments. But again, that job, you got a lot of bluffers out there. And there are times when fellas, we met at that famous place just the other day, Webber, And the fellow told you that I am one of his supporters. You asked him pointedly.
Yes.
And he said, yes, Stanley is one of my supporters.
Yes.
I mean, he's quite bold. He's got a lot of energy.
Yes.
But my friend, let me give you some advice via Von Radio. You have to come this time, and I believe you have to come again. Again, which will be 3. And maybe again. That's 20. 20 plus 30. 30. 20 plus 30. It'll be 50. I think by that time, people might have gotten tired of the Honorable Eric Evelyn. I mean, let me put it this way. You understand me? The fellow knows who I'm talking about.
I know who you're talking about. We don't mention it too.
You understand me? And in that regard, because you have to have what it takes really to gain the trust of people. And sometimes you are genuine, but fellow, they just have not reached to that level of trust where they'll give you that X. The X is sacred, you know. Yeah. It's very sacred. And those who vie for it and get it for the first time, I say, more power to them. For me, I ran simply because I think I must participate in the process. And I usually say what I have to say for guidance, not only for myself, but also for those who are participating. Because for me, I will truly serve. But if I cannot serve because I don't have the time to put in, I will decline. I mean, I had the opportunity of being in the House of Assembly, but I know I didn't have the time to put in. And at the same time, the buck doesn't stop with me at that level, and therefore I couldn't see myself participating, and thus I beg to decline. But it's a noble calling. And tell the fellow, thanks for the trust that he has given through you to me. But God says, not yet.
Yeah, but that fella ain't just speaking on his own behalf, you know. That fella has a lot of weight. So when he speaks, he's talking about a whole entourage that will come with him.
However, it takes more than an entourage.
Okay. Anyway, so let's get on to something else. Now, 2019 is rolling us. Any thoughts? One of the things that I find is rather interesting in the news today, where it was highlighted that we didn't have any homicides for the last quarter of 2018. Nevertheless, the incidents involving guns, crime, you know, still very high. And notwithstanding you didn't have any murders, we already have 6 shootings. 8 days.
We didn't have any fatalities.
Yes, fatalities, yes. So it is still troubling. And, you know, I don't know. These interesting times. So I just found that was interesting.
Well, Webber, you know, every year around this time, at the beginning of the year, I always wish for both St. Kitts and Nevis a year in which there'll be no murders at all, and before long, you know, something happens. So I continue to wish, as I said in my opening remarks, a significant reduction in criminal activity. We were lucky in the last term. 3 of people who are very close to me got shot up. You had Kino, who was badly injured and still away in his head, got a shot in his head, and you had Mr. Yarwood, who, of course, suffered serious injury. And of course, the third one, who died is,
you know.
My friend, the King Bingi, and all of them were lucky that their lives weren't taken. But you know, it seemed to me to be an activity that some of our young people feel that they have to get involved in. The worry is where the gun's coming from, and I think if only we can block that route in some form, I don't know how we will be able to do that. But you know, I'm hoping and praying that 2019 will be a much reduced period of much reduced criminal activity, because people talk about it. I've been away and for 3 weeks, and people talk about the criminal activity in the Federation. At the same time, we continue to be blessed with significant amount of increase in tourism traffic, particularly in St. Kitts. And so, you know, fortune is with us in some ways. We are blessed in many ways. And I hope and pray that, 2019 will see a reduction, as I said, in criminal activity, and our young men will look around for work to do. I mean, we have people from Guyana, people from the Santo Domingo and so forth. Many of them are finding work to do in the landscaping and all that. And you don't hear very often of them being involved in serious crime yet. Our young people who fail. In fact, I don't think some of them want to do any work at all. And some of them can't even leave their area because of the what do you call them now, the gang business and so forth. So I don't know. We need a revival of some sort. I don't know. And it's not going to be religious, I don't think. Some sort of thought of where we are going, some sort of recaptivating what we were in the years gone by, when we thought of others as our friends and our neighbors and so forth. So I'm praying, Webo.
I'm very cautious about mentioning this because I don't like to unless I have solid evidence, but I gather that one of the persons who were injured might have been Naya's son. Now, I only mention it to suggest to Naya, if it is so, to understand that we are with him as well, but not to expand on it anymore, but just to let him know that if that is so, we feel his pain. Because, as I said, I don't have the details, and I didn't want to omit it, lest, it be seen as if we were insensitive. Mr. Brand.
Yes, Webo, you are correct. One of the latest victims of gun violence is, our very colleague here, Naya, one of his sons. Webo, you are correct when you indicated that the reports would have indicated that we did not had any murder in the last quarter of 2018. But the troubling trend still continue, Webo. There is still this high incidence of gun violence, and it is of major concern to all right-thinking people here in St. Kitts and Nevis. I think that we have been fortunate, if I may use that kind of language, that we did not had any murder per se in the last quarter. The year started out with, another incident, and it's a kind of coarsening web of our society where I often wonder how did we get to this stage, and what is the kind of thought process Mr. Hobson speak about intervention, religious or otherwise. It is something that as a people we have to find a solution for. I believe that we are losing, in my mind, one of the most productive age group of our society. And it is leaving a mark on our society that is in my mind, going to last for many, many years, these kind of traumatic incidents and experience.
Mr. Brand, let me ask this question of you and the rest of the panel as well. Now, you think in some instances, there are certain problems that you can somehow just leave them and they'll go away. You get the feeling that we are perhaps applying that technique, but it will not work in this case?
It is a problem, but I'm not certain if we are just leaving it and it's going to go away. Well, my position is I don't think it's going to go away. It is. I think that there are those who are trying to see how they can combat this problem from many different kind of angles.
So then it needs the appropriate measures which we may not as yet be applying.
Probably, yeah. That is, in my mind, I would think that that is a fair assessment. That because this is a problem that has been going on for quite a while, and there seems to be no end in sight, no solution, no remedy, so to speak. And at times, when you think that it is subsiding, it flare back up again.
And Ted, the suggestion you made a suggestion. I wanted to point out something that if we can only stem the flow of these guns, well, my answer to that, or suggestion to that, would be add knives, and then add any other instrument that can maim or hurt.
Criminal activity,
yeah, right, exactly, because I had a discussion one time with somebody, and they were speaking about the guns and the guns and guns, and then in the short space of time, I think 2 or 3 murders was with knives. So my argument was, if you have the criminal intent, if you cannot find a gun, you'll find something else.
Absolutely.
So the point is then, yes, we have to stem the flow of the guns, but we got to get control of the thinking too.
Yeah. I spoke, Weber, about the possible intervention of the church. I don't know that the church has much influence these days. We speak from the mic, as Stanley liked to say, of One Radio. But unfortunately, the people who are doing the engaged in criminal activity don't listen to One Radio. They don't listen to programs like this. They may listen to the music and so forth that comes from One Radio, but they're not listening to programs like this, where we are trying to beseech and beg and urge and so forth. So I don't know how you get to them. I don't know how you reach them. Sometimes I wonder whether they could be rounded up by the government or the police and put in a room and get some people to talk to them, remind them of where we came from, and the struggles of the early inhabitants of this country, the people who have to endure slavery and the people who had to survive after slavery and so forth. See whether you could introduce in them some concept of trying to achieve and trying to overcome these difficulties that we have gone through.
But Ted, here's the problem. Here's the problem with that idea, though. Who are you going to round up? Because from the time you start to round up Mr. Branson and mine and Edric, we're going to say, where you going with him? that boy, they don't interfere with people. So how?
That's the problem, Weber.
That's the problem.
But I mean, it doesn't wrong with me thinking and hoping. But yeah. I just wonder sometimes, because as I say, they're not listening, and so you can't get to them, and so we are really just talking to people. We are talking to, hopefully, to the parents who should be able to exert some influence on their children. But like the minister said, the hope is that fathers will take a more active role in supervising and getting involved in the lives of their young children, particularly the boys and so forth, because the mothers are going out to work and they can't really deal with them. They have young mothers who have 3 and 4 children, and how they survive, I don't really know. But I know many of them, when I see them, I said, you know, I'm sure that youngster is heading for the wrong, going to end up on the wrong side of the law at some stage, you know, because children need to be nurtured, like even animals. You have to teach them. You have to get them involved in understanding what is right and what is wrong. I mean, the instinct tell them what is right and wrong, but to give them the idea that they could overcome these temptations and so forth. As I said, when I was growing up, everybody went to Sunday school. In fact, if you didn't have shoes to wear at Sunday school, they used to have open-ear Sunday schools in the different villages and so forth. So everybody had a chance to at least listen to the scriptures, and because the scriptures have always taught how to behave yourself and how to do the right thing, you know. So that doesn't happen anymore. So how are we going to get to the young people? That's my problem.
Well,
yes.
yeah,
Yes.
I wish, you know, and let me at first though join you in empathizing with Naya. It probably is a very difficult period of time for him, and Naya, we just want you to know that we're here in support. I just thought I should say that, even though it has been said before. Mr. Hobson, I wish, like you, that, you know, we could just wish away these things, but we're far beyond that. We're at the point now that wishing is not going to help anything. We have a lot of work to do in this community, and trust me, talk get results. You know, I've seen talk that get results. You know, we talk here, and I remember a friend of mine said, "Why you all talking and nobody listening to all you?" You know, and I'm like, "You think they ain't listening?" I don't think it's a coincidence that we didn't have, you know, any murders in the last quarter. I think that, you know, work is being done. I think work is being done. Measures are being applied. You know, we may not be able to see it. We're feeling it though, and I'm hoping that whatever, you know, continues. You know, and the young ones who are just coming up, you know, I mean, I hope that, you know, these idle guys, you know, you spend their money doing other things, you know, get a old, you know, car or something to spend your money on, not the guns. But like Mr. Hobson said, they're probably not listening to us. At least that you know, demographic is probably not listening to us when we're here, you know. So, but we have a lot of work to do still, you know, and we have to refocus on fixing these delinquent families that we have, you know, these dysfunctional families that we have. We have too many dysfunctional families, you know, and we're just talking about them, and I don't know that we are doing enough to help solve, you know, these dysfunctional families problem. The policies, government at some point going to have to revisit some of the policies that really, you know, lead into, you know, or lend in a hand to, you know, the dysfunction that we are seeing. We need to focus on things that would build families, not things that would separate families. And like I said, government has a part to play in that, and we're going to have to look at the policies that are driving that. As it relates to the importation of guns, it is sad. But we do know that even officials, you know, people who are or gatekeepers, you know, have been involved in the, you know, in this practice. And I'm like, we're going to have to find a better way of recruiting people. I mean, it must be, you know, you can't be just because the minister knows somebody in his area and they want a job, you know. And we have to be very careful about our gatekeepers. We're going to have to monitor, you know, we're going to have people watching, you know, somebody's going to have to guard the guard, or else guns going to continue to flow in here. We're going to have to spend more money on border security. And I don't know that we're doing enough of that yet. And I'm hoping, and I don't know the details of the budgets, you know, in terms of how much more we're going to spend on things like that. It is all well and good to say that we're spending more, you know, on, you know, national security, but I'm hoping that the money reaches to the point that really the intervention that we are thinking of, you know, would really make a difference and would really, you know, allow us to sleep well at nights, because a lot of us don't sleep well at nights. You know, only every time the dog barks, you know, some of us are looking out, you know, even though some of us have cameras, you know, that doesn't give you the kind of sense of security that you used to have. It used to be, you used to be able to leave your door open and, you know, those kind of things. Not even your car you could leave open these days. But we're going to have to refocus on building families, and that involves, and I'm appealing to the young ladies. I mean, it makes no sense to be getting 5 children from 5 different guys. You know, they're not there to help. You know, and one of the saddest things that I see happening is that they're giving all these children these different names, you know, confusing the children. They don't feel like they're part of the family because, you know, they all have different names. So fighting starts even there because there's no commonality, you know, because mommy is hardly there. Nobody daddy there, you know, it's the daddy of the day that, you know, prevails. I mean, ladies, stop giving your children other people's name. Let them marry to you if they want you to give their kids to get your name, you know, because it starts right there. I've met some kids who are very messed up, you know, and the psychological effects on these kids from early, you know, that is something that when you send them to school, they're not going to deal with that. The only place they're going to get dealt with is when they end up in jail, you know, because I don't know of any program that's going to deal with that, you know. So we have to be careful, you know. And so I would hope that social services, I know they're doing all that they can, but I think we need to re-strategize as to how we're going to build better families. Sunday school used to be a part of, you know, our everyday being. In one Sunday, I used to go to 3 different Sunday schools, you know, sometimes even 4, just, you know, and I'm not seeing that now. I'm appealing to the pastors. You have your work to do, you know. I don't think, and I know I've appealed to the people already in the congregation. Make sure you carry your tithes and your offering, you know, to keep the pastor happy. Keep the pastor doing the pastoral work that he ought to be doing. I don't think pastor have to be going fishing and all them kind of things and distracting him from what his duty is. Everybody has a calling, you know. And so when the pastor goes there, I want to know that my pastor is available every time, you know, 24/7, really, you know. Don't be just paying your pastor just to show up on Sunday to preach. I think pastor need to go out in the in the community and you know, get people to come to church, you know. And this idea, I know I've spoken about it before, and for those pastors who didn't hear it before and you didn't get upset with me last year, you might get upset with me this year, and I apologize. But stop sending your buses into the communities to take out people. Let them go to the churches that are in the communities. That is what the churches in the communities are for. That is a social, well, not only a social, well, we know that you're going to feed the spirit and the soul, but let the people go there and socialize, because if they have no, you know, opportunity to do that, you know, on a daily basis. Sunday is the day that usually we go to church. I see all the people I haven't seen in my village for the whole week. I hug them, I greet them in a holy smile and a hug and kiss and things like that. Let us go back to that, man. Stop taking people out of the communities just because you want extra money in your, you know. I just want people to get a little more conscious, you know, and let us build communities, man. I'm hoping that this year people kind of throw off some of this selfishness, you know, and start focusing on the things that we can all benefit from. We have the civics, we used to have civics in school. I think we need to reinstitute that, you know. Let people find a sense of what their purpose is, because a lot of kids, they go to school, they have no allegiance to nothing. I mean, I see kids in school and let me not say in school, because I don't go into that, you know, area too often. But sometimes you go out at an event and the national anthem is being played and they have no respect for the national anthem. People running up and down, big people sitting down with their hands crossed across their chests, you know. Oh, me now get up, you know. Those kind of things, you know, we need to dispel with all those kind of things, those negative type of behaviors, you know. And the people who call themselves parents, you need to step up to the plate and start seriously to get help if you recognize that you're not being a good parent. And only then, I think, we would be able to tackle this problem. But like I said, I think something is happening in a positive way. I'm hoping that, you know, in 2019 we have, like Mr. Hobson, that we would have no murders in 2019. And all I could say at this point is, God be with us.
Dr. Patricia Bartlett, Ted Hobson, Edric W. Stanley, and the Honorable Spencer Brand. Your phone calls a little later on 1-869-469-1616 and or 1700. We'll be back after these.
When VON vibrates. The whole Caribbean must shake.
860 AM, the Powerhouse.
Just arriving at Builders Paradise. Brand new mirror bypass doors. Sizes include 4 feet, 5 feet, and 6 feet. Oh, and don't forget to check out their Saturday yard sale for even better discounts. Builders Paradise, where your island dreams begin.
Back on this episode of Thought That Get Results, Edric.
Well, mine would be very short. Meaning, they say your attitude determines your altitude. But I would also say your aptitude, meaning what you got up here. And if you only begin to apply what you've got up here with big dose of prayer, maybe the curtailment in the murder rate has occurred as a result of divine intervention. Because one of those fellows kills you. Mine was for sure divine intervention. And I'm saying that the gun trade is a business. And everybody is looking at that almighty dollar. And in that regard, they will find ways to make money out of the importation of guns or the resale of guns. And I just believe that until they change their attitude, their thinking, and again it is based on your aptitude, how much you got up here, to rationally make a decision. I am not going to do such. I will find other things meaningful to do. Because there's always somebody who would provoke somebody else. There's always somebody who wants an extra buck, who feels that that person has it, and I would find some way of getting it from them. Whether they're going to knock them over the head or hold them up with a gun, as the case might be. But all these are competitive events, meaning you're competing with each other to make a dollar here, there, as the case might be. So how are you going to curtail the importation of guns? But in circulation now, there are a lot of guns. Even I understood that they are on rent, like an automobile, tools, as the case might be. Some of these people who are engaged in these nefarious activities and committing gun violence, they rent the guns. So I heard. And there is no reason for me not to believe it is true. Because there are a lot of firearms in our society. Little by little, the police is finding, and ultimately do not know if they destroy them. I do not know if they destroy what they have found or what they have retrieved. But unless and until they destroy them, it means that we still have an enormous amount of firearms within our country. And as a result, whoever the renters are, they will find ways of acquiring what's already here. Sure, if our borders are not protected, more would be imported. But our aptitude will determine our altitude. Let's begin to bring some civility into our mindset, into our citizenry, and ultimately change our behavior. The churches have done a lot. The church has done a lot for me. And I sometimes say, I can't do that. And one of the best time for me was the beginning of the new year. I was at church. Really nice. It was just a great feeling to be in church when 1 minute after 12 struck, saying my praise to the Lord, to have having brought me thus far, and our community. I mean, I pray all the time to bring peace to the world, but there are people who are not peacemakers. They're always out there to create rancor, and with that rancor, violence is in its midst. We have to bring about, again, some sense of civility, prayer. And God does answer prayer.
We know what we need to do, but who should do it?
We all have to. Because I'll tell you, the young men who are out there, they've been spoken to by so many people, because people do know who they are. And even though people might be afraid to talk to some, there are other people who are bold enough to talk to them. But they too, those who want to engage them in nefarious activities, in gun violence and other kind of violent crimes, they've been spoken to over and over and over. But they would not change their attitude, simply because, one, a person is emboldened by the presence or the ownership or the control of a gun, and feels as though he is now larger than anybody else, fearless, and would go out there and do all kinds of things. But it means that we have to change our attitude. Those who are engaged in the activity, and those of us who are not engaged but have some semblance of influence. I mean, I speak to people all the time. What are you doing? Find something meaningful to do. I mean, I was very, very, very busy during the Christmas season. Grabbed two green persons who knew nothing about the building trade, but gainfully set them up and to teach them how to do something that was, and we accomplished a task. They were well paid too. And they didn't pull back based on the fact that they were there with the output, rate of productivity. And that's what I usually do. I work you, but I'll pay you.
Webo, can I just, I was reading, I can't remember if it was Madagascar, but there's a place where families ought to know what their premise is that you, as a family member, you ought to know what the other family members are doing. As a parent, you're responsible for what your kids do. So if your kid is responsible for stealing something on the road, they come and they lock up the mother. And that is happening. I'm not saying that those draconian, measures might work, here,
They should.
Well, if you lock up the mother, you still have 5 different kids there who are going to be delinquent now.
Yeah.
But the point is, though, if you think that your mother is going to get in trouble, mind you, it seems like that doesn't happen here either, because I've heard about guys who, they think that is their gun, but they haul the mother and they're not even going to own the gun for the mother to go home, so the mother is in the shell with these things. But so you have to start early, though, if you're taking responsibility for the actions of your kids early enough, then you would make sure that your kids turn out to be better than they are nowadays. So I don't know if we need to start looking at those kind of laws to make people responsible for what their kids do. Yeah, vicarious, I guess that is vicarious liability.
Vicarious.
Dr. Bartlett, you stress that the mother is responsible.
Because the father is not
the father isn't there.
Well, that is my problem. They need to step up. They need to step up to the plate.
Well, I mean, you've said that, and we have all said that. Well, I just want to say that one used to think that sports would be a good activity to get involved in order to reduce criminal activity. The government, both in St. Kitts and Nevis, and I suppose throughout the region, when basketball became a very hip thing to be involved in, they put these basketball courts all over the place. if you look around now, you'll find that many of these basketball courts are not used, and it seems as though criminal activity is now affecting the development of sports in our country. I mean, look at cricket. I am told that in my day and up to fairly recently, you had cricket teams in Gingerland and Brown Hill and different places, and they sort of play against one another in a, what is called a cup competition. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, I'm told that you can't do that because some of the people in particular areas can't go anywhere. They're stuck in their area. So now you have criminal activity causing the reduction of sports and the lack of the development of certain sports. I mean, cricket now is I mean, when I look at the Leeward Island team now, I don't think there's one division in that team. Once upon a time, there's maybe one, but once upon a time, you used to have 3 or 4. I mean, I happened to be one of the first ones when I was very 16 years of age. I played for the Leeward Islands, and I played for the Leeward Islands for many years before I went away, and I was actual captain of the Leeward Islands and all of that. But the point is, nowadays they can't move around. They can't take part in the sports around the island, and so I'm told that is why you don't have these teams going back and forth and playing tournaments and so forth. They have the odd 2020 competition and all of that, but they don't have these 4-day matches that they used to have, or 2-day matches that they used to have. Well, you're more involved in that than I am at the moment, but that is a real concern, really.
Well, for Brownhill, I know we used to have very vibrant teams in netball and football and cricket, but kids generally are not playing sports. Yeah, and I don't know that it necessarily had anything to do with criminal activity from the onset, but I think it has more to do with technology. Yep. They play football, but they play football on the computer. Yes, they sit in front of the TV and they play football. They play all those games. So I don't know that.
But the hope was that the sporting activity will keep them away from criminal activity, but it's not working.
Yeah, but well, having said that, though, I don't know what impact really would have been had we not introduced basketball, that only, and that is a contact sport in itself, that is a rough thing. Maybe that is, kind of spur on some of the guys because they don't want anybody to rough them up. I don't know.
No, sport is a discipline game.
But when we were playing cricket, though, but you see, in Brownhill now, I can't even walk to Brownhill and get a team because they've fragmented Brownhill now. I mean, the politician made, have housing here and there and scatter the guys. That is a reality. Maybe that has led to some. I cannot find a team. No, I'm serious. I am serious.
I'm sorry that you're going to get almost 14 months.
That's an excuse.
You can get a team of Brownhill men, but not out of Brownhill.
They still belong to Brownhill.
Right, I got you, and I'm saying that they belong to Brownhill, but they're not there on a daily basis. They come to Brownhill, they claim Brownhill as their own. But I'm saying that the politicians are going to have to be careful about the policies that you're instituting in this country. It is segregating a lot of people, scattering people around to places that they have no allegiance, and then we expect them to behave.
You check them.
Who's gonna? You have to, it used to be you have one bad man in the community, and he keep everybody else in check.
You check those.
Now everybody's bad.
You check those fellas who gone out of Brownhill. And whenever they see a decent lady from a Brownhill, they go right back in there. So it's based on their interest.
No, but
it's based on their interest.
Well, I'm just saying though, we used to be in the afternoon, you reach home, you're relaxing, you take off your clothes, you go across the road, you play some sport. I don't see that now. I look around, I'm counting the houses, I'm like, this house over there empty, that house over there empty. Where the people, did they emigrate? They didn't necessarily emigrate. They've been moved around, shuffled around in Nevis, and then they get busy, doing the 2 and 3 job to, pay for the house that they didn't really need. But, we have to get serious about building communities, man, and I'm tired of saying the same thing.
It's discipline. It's discipline. And if you're not disciplined, You're not going anywhere. And how do we engender, how do we influence people to be disciplined? The prize is there. And all you have to do is to work toward it. When I say all, you have to make the effort. Set your goals. I mean, you mentioned that people don't make New Year resolutions anymore.
No, I never said that. I said I don't know people.
Well, people still do. I did. I know where I want to go in 2019.
But I knew where I wanted to go in 2019 since 2010, mind you.
Yes,
so that's why.
yes. Well, I'm just saying.
I didn't wait until I got into 2019 to decide where I want to go.
So whatever timetable you're on, whatever timeline you're on. But our society is as such that we could accomplish anything we want. The time has not changed, still at 24 hours in a day. But it is our self-discipline and self-application. And once we buckle down to accomplishing those objectives, we will accomplish them. But people now got all kinds of other interests. Some, of course, have fallen into the nefarious category. And as a result, this conversation will always come to the fore. We will always have this conversation until our young people.
Edric, let me just take this. Good evening. Thank you for holding.
Good evening, Weber, and Happy New Year to you, your guests, and all your listeners.
Thank you. Same to you.
I am. Good evening. Good evening,
Good
Stan.
evening. Good evening. Good evening. How are you doing, Admiral Sadio?
I'm doing very well. I'm doing very well. I am calling in on behalf of Hearts and Hands for Nevis Incorporated concerning the 20th anniversary luncheon on Sunday, January 20th, 2019. Starts at 2 and finishes at 7 p.m. at the LaGuardia Airport Marriott. The Marriott at the LaGuardia Airport, and that address is 102-05 Ditmas Boulevard, East Elmhurst, New York. The keynote speaker is Sir Dennis Byron, former president of the Caribbean Court of Justice, distinguished honorees El Comido Willett, former West Indies cricketer, Magistrate Yasmin Clark, senior magistrate in Nevis, and our own Everett Weber Herbert, CEO of Vaughan Radio.
Well, that's a revelation.
He kept that one
That's a
quiet.
revelation. Wonderful, Mr. Sadio.
Yes.
For letting us know.
Entertainment, Raffle. Well, you see, I'm calling in on talk that get results.
Yeah.
Okay, and along with El Comido Willett, our own Sir Dennis Byron, we have our magistrate, Miss Yasmin Clark, and the person who keep us informed on a daily basis, and especially on Let's Talk, where the heavyweights are. He will bless us with his attendance on that Sunday, the 20th of 2019. And we are asking everybody to, they have heard Weber and El Comido and Sir Dennis. So of course, they can come out and see who Webo is, because again, everybody has been honored, and the magistrate will be there also. And entertainment, raffle, dancing, and of course, the adults, they only pay $100. The children, 12 and under, it's $55. Dress formal, and we have DJ music. Right, come and celebrate with us. If you need information, you can call Miss Erlene Williams King, and her number is 347-515-1749, or Wincia Sutton, 347-280-7639, Alistine Sutton, 646-734-9716. Annette Manners Marian, her number is 347-623-3642. Dion Pemberton, 917-754-3643. So we are asking one and all to come out and give us your support. Whatever support you do will be in kind and be returned to our fellow Nibijans. Thank you, Webo, for your time. And I'm hoping to see you soon.
I thank you. We'll see.
Congratulations, Webo. I think that is well deserved. That's well deserved.
Yeah, well, more than reserved.
There are quite a number of Nibijans who are living abroad. I mean, I was at the airport, I don't remember what the date was, I think the 24th, and a lady from New York heard the name Stanley, and somebody, and she said, "You on the radio?" He said, "Yeah." Well, she came over and she, "I want to take a picture with you." I said, my son and my
celebrity status.
First wife was there, so
celebrity, of course.
And we took the photograph. I walked into the parking lot of Value Mart. This lady standing, so I'm walking toward the door, and the lady said, "Where can I find the abattoir?" And as I spoke, she said, "That voice sounds familiar." Well, I told her where she can find the abattoir. And she said, "But this voice sounds familiar." So, "What's your name?" I said, "Edric Stanley." He said, "Yeah, you're on the radio?" I said, "Yeah." But she is a Maynard from Brooklyn, which wherever you probably know because you're from that area. So I asked her if she knew Erlene Maynard. She can't bring Erlene Maynard. But as Sadio just mentioned, there are quite a number of our people who listen to this radio station when we are on, who are from New York and the tri-state, in the tri-state area. So what Admiral Sadio did this evening, I hope those people who are listening would take part in this wonderful presentation.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason why he announced it here, because he realized that a lot of division around the United States
the tri-state area
listening to this program.
Mm-hmm.
Well, congratulations to all the honorees or the potential honorees.
I think so. I think that it's nice to be acknowledged, and I think, as the other panelists has indicated, Webo, I think it is well deserved, and I know that you are going to make an extremely impressive presence at that function.
Well, he's asked to show up, and he's expected to be there, and as a result, it is a fine gathering. I mean, the keynote speaker.
I'd love to be there myself.
Yeah, the keynote speaker is keynote speaker, and the other two.
Yeah, well, they've almost selected the number one.
Yeah.
Speaker nowadays, sought after in the region.
Right.
Yes, because he was at the Prime Minister's Gala, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was the keynote speaker, but not only in Nevis, but
around the world.
Region, you know.
Yeah, because He was in Geneva, wasn't he?
He was in Africa. He was
the tribunal.
Yeah, he was president of the Rwanda Tribunal.
That's right.
And he was Chief Justice of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court and all. As this a distinguished son of the soil, whose father was from Nevis. And in fact, father grew up right here, next to the one radio here, the Byron people here. Well, because if the announcement has suddenly made you speechless.
No, but it wasn't a surprise to him, though.
It can't be.
It wasn't, but
it's a surprise that it was announced tonight.
I think that I want to join with my colleagues to say congratulations, not only to Weber, but also to all of the honorees. I think it's a very distinguished
choice
group of people, and also the featured speaker. I would hope that knowing Weber as well as I think I do, I believe we will get the sound bites and clippings of the presentation. So I'm looking forward to it.
This is Thought That Get Results. The Honorable Spencer Brand, Edric W. Stanley, Ted Hobson, Dr. Patricia Bartlett will be back after these.
With all the power from the tower, this is the powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean, VON Radio, from the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
We're back. Well, I'll react to all that a little later on. But I wanted to, though, look at another area and the serious impasse that is happening right now in the United States, and to get your thinking, not only in terms of the United States, but globally, as to the impact that you realize that politics and an election has, and might it, in your view, is something that has basically changed the world? Let's begin with Edric.
Quite sadly, Weber, United States elected a person who should never have been elected. But as I said in the early years,
every time you say that, I have to intervene. Say it again.
United States electorate elected a person who should never have been elected. But I've always stated that he couldn't. But with divine intervention, God has chosen Donald Trump, and I think he did. I think the master did. No, the master determines who rules. Don't kid yourself. Russians are not. But to hasten his return to earth. Trump has now reached to a point where he sees himself going to be destroyed, and it is a force against another force. The government is going to destroy him, and he is trying to fight back before the government destroys him. As a result, he is putting so many people's livelihood in jeopardy. And how couldn't these people see it? How? They should have seen it. I mean, I saw it so plainly. And we amplified it over the mic of Von Radio. Wrong choice. The man doesn't know what he's doing. And to the extent where he's attempting to lead not only the United States of America, but the West down a blind alley. A lot of people here still support him simply because they do not follow the politics and ultimately the ultimate goal. And thus, they still believe in Donald Trump. Trump doesn't have the aptitude to be the president of the United States of America. The job is too large for him. He never understood it. But he got elected by name recognition. Name recognition. And ultimately, some other factors, racial prejudice, and those cronies whom he worked with or worked with him, and we are now seeing the domino effect, one by one. And ultimately, he is going to be destroyed. He cannot stand. He will not stand. Webo.
Obama has said something that is enormously true. He said, election has consequences. And that is one of the things that people should take away from all of this. A lot of Americans stayed at home and figured they had nothing to gain or to lose by an election. But as a result, you have Donald Trump. Donald Trump election is a reaction, in my view, in my personal view, is a reaction, direct reaction to the successful terms of Obama. There are certain people, the reactionary forces in inner America, that resented a black man being at the helm, and Trump recognized that, and his whole campaign was designed in a racial way. This whole idea of making America great again was a direct reference to the time when the black people didn't have any influence at all in the United States. And that kindled something in the minds of inner America. And although he made some enormously stupid statements and erratic statements, people still voted for him. So when people now are up in arms about his policies and so forth, the fact remains, as Mr. Stanley said, it was known throughout the campaign that Trump, if he was elected, was going to cause havoc. But there are a lot of people who didn't believe. He himself didn't believe he would be elected. So he said some of the most outrageous things. And now he's forced, of course, to honor those pledges he has made. And he started off with something that the American reactionary forces were against: immigration. They don't want no black people. They don't want no brown people. They don't want those people coming in their country. Because they figure if they come in, they are going to vote for the Democratic Party. And that would be the end of the Republican Party. And they all went out there and supported Trump. Trump said nothing very much to uplift anybody. But yet, they latched on to this thing of making America great again and making sure that Mexicans don't come in, the this don't come in, and the that don't come in. So now we're at this stage where he has to honor that pledge. And he's prepared to put the United States through agony with this shutdown, because he can't turn back. He can't say he's not going to bother build the wall again. So he's prepared to do anything. Tonight he's going on radio and he's going to indicate to the United States public that they are facing one of the most horrific crises in the history of the United States. Mind you, the record shows that less people are coming to the United States illegally than before. Much less. In fact, half of the amount that you came in 10 years ago. And yet, he is prepared to put the United States through this agony. And not only this United States through this agony, he's prepared to put the whole world into uncertainty, because his antics, Weber, has literally destroyed the alliances that America has built up since the Second World War. NATO and all of the other organizations throughout the world that America has part in talk about climate change. Obama was very, very ardent and putting this thing together. He's decided he's against it and he doesn't believe it. He believes it's a hoax and all of that sort of stuff. And we are going to be affected by it because we are an island and climate change is very critical to us. And so we are in a serious state, and I sincerely hope that he's a one-term presidency, because if this is going to not go on for another 6 years, it's going to be terrific.
Well, I think I agree with most of what Mr. Hobson would have said as it relates to the current impasse that exists in the most productive, well, let me take that back. One of the most powerful countries in the world. China is, fast moving in, to be, the number one, and I think that they recognize that. They can't turn that back now, but all the treaties that have been entered in before, it takes a man like Trump, really, to dismantle all those things, because he really can't see, the benefits of all these. Even if you explain them to him, I don't think, he would concentrate long enough to understand. But the thing is, though, what I wanted to add to the discussion is this wave. It is not just Trump wanting America to be, first. You have the English, you have the people in the UK, they want, the UK to be first as well. So you have the issue of Brexit right now, which is causing,
which I have on
instability. And you just, I think, Brazil just elected a president who,
far right,
right, and
right.
People, and so I think what is driving most of these, you talk about the elections that are happening, people, it's a reflection of how people are feeling on the ground, and I think we have to take that into consideration. It is all well and good, and I embrace the concept of globalization. I like the idea that I could be a global citizen and all the rest of it that comes with it, but the core of the matter is most people are insular by nature. Divisions in Nevis think that divisions should be first. So when we go and we enter into CSME and we make everybody, everybody can come and everybody enjoy the pie, divisions don't like that. And I get that from the people who are here. They don't mind people coming, but they don't want them to have the same say. I don't want anybody to come to my house and be able to get all the benefits, that is the feeling that you get from people, because that's how people are naturally. And so I think that is something that we have to deal with. So when we are thinking about the issue of immigration, is not a simple issue, and people would vote because they think that they are being threatened. They see people coming from far lands and they think that they'll be getting less of the pie, and that is something that we have to guard against. We have to make people feel comfortable, not feel threatened by the issue of immigration, because the same wall that Mr. Trump is, that he promised. First he said that Mexico was going to pay for it. And now, he's going to shut down the U.S. government because Mexico is not paying for it. No, he has to come with the money to pay for it. But there are, scholars who have suggested that the wall itself is not likely to make that much of an impact on the issue that they have on immigration. Mr. Hobson made a point that there are less people who are migrating to the U.S., as illegal immigrants, that is. So even if he were to get the money to build a wall, the issue of immigration is still going to be a sticky issue for him, because he's not going to solve the problem of immigration that way. Because I think they said that the wall is just going to reduce the illegal importation, illegal immigrants by 30%, because most of the immigrants who are illegal in the U.S. are people who would have gone there, whether they went to pick apples or whatever, they went there legally and they decided to overstay. So that is the issue that I think he's going to have to grapple with. But I don't think he has a fair understanding as to, but, the far right would have elected him, and he has to deliver. he has to deliver, or at least he has to pretend as if he is delivering, because he would have already reached a deal before now, you know, that they could have reopened the government, and then he went and reneged on it, you know. So it is not likely that he may hold out. Tomorrow he may just scrap the whole thing if he got, you know, disinterested in it. But I think the major issue really is immigration, and so I'm hoping that when we look at what is happening around the world, we would start crafting our legislation around here with that in mind. I'm not saying that we should bar people. I like the idea that people can come and go in CSME, but there's some allowances that you're going to have to make for people who were born here. You can't make them feel, or else you're going to have the same kind of revolt. And that is why people with these kind of ideas normally or seemingly, you know, triumphant nowadays, you know, and it is a wave, you know, unfortunately, you know, that seems to be taking root. So I'm thinking that maybe we need to pay a little more attention to that. It is all well and good to say that Trump is a crazy man. He's, you know, somebody, you know, there were some psychiatrists a group of psychiatrists who published an article who said that, you know, they think that he should be evaluated, you know, and they're suggesting that maybe people should be examined, you know, and make sure that people who, especially the president, you know, ought to be fit for duty, you know. But that is a different argument. That I don't have that kind of expertise. I can't wait on anything like that. But like I said, we have to be careful about, you know, people, you know, and the insular nature of human beings.
Well, but what I find is that one consistency of Donald Trump is actually his inconsistency. And I think for the last 100 years, the word of the President of the United States really mattered. And sadly in 2018, the word of the present President of the United States doesn't really resonate much more. It is creating more havoc than anything else. I believe that we continue to see Weber that whenever he speaks, there are persons who keep coming behind to try and do what I call mopping up and damage control and so on and so forth. One of the things that we have not mentioned here tonight, and I don't know if Mr. Stanley missed it or it might have been an oversight, is that we are now seeing some tremors happening as it relates to the stock market. We are seeing some slowing down, we are seeing some falling off. I think it was Ted who spoke about 6 years or something like that. I don't believe that the global economy can take 6 more years of Donald Trump. 2 years would be difficult enough. I believe that some of the businesses that he spoke about on the campaign that he wanted to bring back and so on and so forth, a lot of them were able to do a lot of business with China and other parts of the world. And all of these, what I call shock in the arm as it relates to these tariffs and so on, is having serious impact. So it appears to me that some of the problems that Donald Trump claimed that he would fix is actually make them worse. And I believe that a lot of the allies of the United States are uncertain as to what is going to happen next. I think Dr. Bartley spoke about Brexit, but even the Europeans dealing with that situation themselves are very much concerned about what is happening as it relates to Donald Trump and his presidency and what he's saying. The sad part of it, Weber, that we all know that whenever the United States sneezes, a lot of other Caribbean countries and a lot of countries throughout the world naturally catches a cold. And I believe that the focus that we would have seen under President Obama, President Bush, and President Clinton as it relates to globalization, I believe that Donald Trump have tried to dismantle that in the last 2 years. A lot of these treaties that deals with the environment, that deals with just the natural rights of the ordinary man and woman on the street, the way countries relate to each other. A lot of these just seem to have been dismantled because he believes that he have the answer and the remedy for a lot of the world's problem. In fact, he seems to be making a lot of them even worse. I believe, Weber, that sooner rather than later something will have to give. It was just, I think, yesterday. I think it was the president of the lady who had something to do with airlines and so on was lamenting that she is very concerned about the safety and security of airlines and some of the things that they are concerned about because the government is shut down. And this is just one entity that is very concerned over what is happening. It is a global concern, Weber, because I believe that economies are feeling the impact of the presidency of Donald Trump. But more importantly, the ordinary man and woman on the street who are trying to keep what I call global safety and security is also hurting, and they are not going to be able to function properly. I don't see that we are ever going to get any wall between California come all the way down to, I don't see that happening. $5 billion. We all know that in construction you put a figure on something and it quadrupled because there are so much
tiny
unknowns.
figure to do that.
I believe, Weber, also that over the last many years, the United States have been one of the leading countries actually when it comes to the dismantling of barriers between people. You talk about dismantling the Berlin Wall, trying to get countries to merge together, to join together and so on. But this, in my mind, is a step in the wrong direction. And I believe, I agree with Mr. Hobson, election have consequences, and this is a major global consequence.
Well, I didn't want to cloud the issue, and as a result, I didn't bring in a lot of things. Donald Trump is myopic. He doesn't have the aptitude again, and that's why I said he's a force, and the force needs a counterforce, and the counterforce is the United States government that's going to take down Donald Trump. I didn't want to bring in all the other things. The Electoral College made a colossal mistake. His opponent got more votes than he did.
It's a system, Mr. Starr.
So based on the black people who did not go out and vote.
You have a point. Yeah,
they didn't go out and vote. They didn't vote. And many of us blame them for not voting. But his opponent got more votes than he did. Where the problem came is the Brexit people with that foolish thinking, and these other people with their foolish thinking, the Electoral College, put him, Donald Trump, who is myopic in vision, lack of foresight, lack of intellectual capacity, lack of everything. The man is a dummy. I said on this radio station through its microphone that he cannot get elected. And the reason why I said it, I didn't say it because I dislike the man. It has nothing to do with personality. I saw it from the position of lacking the capacity of being a leader of the most powerful nation in the world, and as to what he can do simply because of the lack of the capacity to lead not only the United States of America, but the West that I believe so much in. And like I've said, Hillary's coming back. Mark my word, Hillary is coming back.
She's dead.
I'll tell you why. She still has the network, although Biden is licking his chops, thinking that he's at the forefront. But the machinery of Hillary and Bill is still intact. The money, the votes, even though she has baggage, she will be back. And they have already started to retool. But, like I said, if you check the number of votes that she got, barring the Electoral College, and that's the part of the United States system, these are the people who, in fact, put Donald Trump there.
He's the one who wanted to have a similar system, remember?
You understand me? And I'm saying to you, don't misunderstand me. There are people who sometimes myopic and just don't understand. And because they lack the understanding, they make colossal mistakes. And this was one that we cannot forgive ourselves. I say we, meaning all of us who try to influence in whatever way to prevent Donald Trump from getting there. Trump is now facing impeachment. It has been proven that he has committed certain felonies that are punishable by the impeachment process. And consequently, he is now attempting to fight back by shutting down the country with the hope that it would weaken the institutions of the United States government. But he will not succeed. And he will not serve another term. He will not get another term. The people who are supposed to have been there or have gotten the go-ahead in front of Trump, the people who were supposed to have elected them couldn't see. But based on name recognition, economic firepower, certain people in place, racial prejudices, and all these other factors, those were the dynamics that came into play that caused Donald Trump to be where he is today, that is causing so much pain. I didn't want to go into other things to cloud the issue. He is now trying to protect himself.
Isn't this a good illustration of what power can do?
We understand that, but let me bring in a part of the war, the war he's trying to. There are ways where they can build tunnel to get into the United States. The wall is meaningless with reference to or in comparison to a tunnel. So how can these people see?
Right. So on the one hand, it illustrates, doesn't it, what power can do. And the second aspect of it I'd like to point out, which was not pointed out yet, but I'm sure everybody's aware of it, is how easily this problem can be fixed if the Republicans, enough of them, thought this is wrong and take a stand.
Well, let me just finish my little piece.
I have been with Stanley on this program for near 30 years. I don't know, no, it's pretty close to 30 years, if not. And I've always thought that Mr. Stanley was a paid-up member of the Republican Party.
I'm a pragmatist.
I don't know whether that was your understanding, because
yes,
we started off this thing together. You remember?
Yes.
And I always thought that he was a paid-up member of the Republican.
And he still is, proudly.
Yeah. But and I am flabbergasted by his comments, particularly so, Webo, as the record has shown over the last several months, up to a week ago. The polls show that 90% of Republicans support Donald Trump.
But that's where I told you he still is.
So
it includes Edric.
You have to understand the reason. The thing is that they know that he's going to self-destruct. But they're trying to show up the boat that once he is kicked off the boat is still saleable, manageable.
But they could bring him down.
They could bring them instantly. But they're trying to cover their own behind by attempting to say, hey, look, we bring him down And they will bring him down, you know. It's just based on timing. Nothing happens before its time. They are attempting to keep the ship afloat for their own self-interest. Consequently, they have not yet decided to call out Donald Trump. But Trump will be called out.
Yeah, but where does the voter come in all this? Because here you have 800,000 persons now out of a job. And of that 800 persons, they have basically one thing in common and a couple of things different. The one thing they have in common, they're Americans. Some are Democrats, some are Republicans, right? So at what point will people learn? And I wanted to apply it also to our own local situations as well. At what point people will learn that if something is hurting you, you don't give the fellow the ammunition to continue doing it. You take a stand and you make a decision.
But it depends on who they're going to blame, though. Because, you know, he's going to frame the argument as if Democrats are to be blamed.
Yeah, but
because
apart,
he promised them a wall.
Right, but work with me, because the mayor, by the same token, that you're able to determine that I'm going to vote for Edric, you're supposed to be able to determine Edric is hurting you. And don't wait for Edric to come and tell you that it is Brand who is hurting you. So I want to put the burden on every individual. So the persons who are there.
Keeping him.
Yes, and keeping him there. And they're there and they're hurting. They're not working. They're not getting their paycheck. So maybe next time around, when they're voting, they should say, well, I don't want to see none of the names who were there then.
Mitch McConnell, he is the one who is preventing
he wouldn't even put the
Donald Trump from self-destruction. Because they know his base, once he's gone, his base becomes theirs.
Nope. It's not going to happen that way. They're going to blame the Republicans for not supporting Donald Trump, and they're going to get licks.
Yeah. They will get licks. There's no question about it.
And they're going to lose.
But
and that's why
the term showed you that.
Don't put it as 800,000, because you've got the multiplying effect. And in that regard, we too going to be affected. Once there's confidence, the stock market will soar. And once people realize things are not going the same way, people begin to tighten and hold on their money. And that's why the stock market has dropped like a rock. And he can no longer lay claim to the market mediocre rise, because it has now fallen back below where it started.
What's he going to blame the Democrats?
Sure, there's a blame game, but at the same time, people are supposed to be wise enough and not myopic to understand where the blame lies, and to understand that these troubles that we are having were imposed by Donald J. Trump.
But the evidence shows
it doesn't happen again.
The evidence shows. The evidence shows that the people have either got it or they're getting it. The midterm elections was
exactly.
It is getting there, and I'm saying to you that it's only a matter of time before Donald Trump would self-destruct, because he's planting all the seeds, and he'll reap a bountiful harvest of self-destruction. But in the meantime, he made the statement that if you come after me, I'm going to come after you. And this is the way of coming after you by his statements, by attempting to shut down the government. He's even attempting to bring in policies, making certain decisions, that the challenging court, he's going to lose. And I'm saying to you, the time is fast approaching when we will see the back of Donald Trump. He, of course, lauded the people in Britain with the Brexit thing, and that was a foolish move, and I said it here. It was just a stupid move. How can't they see?
They can't. You can't see it because you're not feeling it. You're not there. You don't understand it.
No, I see it.
What you have to recognize.
Even here, what Navy just got to do? You already here. Your foot is in the door. Not in the door. You are a citizen. All the rights are showered upon you. If you're lazy, those who are coming, whom you fear, will come and overtake you. Get up.
Yeah, but
the sun rises. But you must be up before the sun rises.
But shouting it is not going to make a difference to the way people feel. People feel like once they are born in a particular locale, then they should have more rights than people who coming in.
Well, they do.
They don't.
But they're not taking advantage of it.
They don't. The reality is they
do,
don't.
But they're not taking advantage of it.
The reality is they don't.
Brexit is pure immigration.
The person who is coming in, the person who is coming in has to be given a work permit. He has to find an employer, and he has to find housing. I mean, so many things that the person who is already here as a citizen has, but he can't see. And some of you who are propelling this argument are galvanizing them into that position by making them believe.
No, Stanley.
I'm telling you.
You're getting it wrong.
No, I'm not getting it wrong. I'm saying to you, tell them, get up off the fanny. They're already here.
When you shout it, it still ain't going to make any difference.
Well, let me say,
they're going to have people who like just like that.
Let me say it very softly then. Let me say
Makes
it very
no difference
softly.
how often you say it either.
Let
you
me
know,
say
the reality, you have to deal with what the reality is.
Let me say it softly then. Those of us who are here must no longer be living in fear of those who are coming. Let us analyze all the pluses and all the minuses and make a clear determination as to what we have as pluses and to build on them. And they'll never catch us. They can't catch us.
I don't think you understand the dynamics as it relates to immigration. And
who doesn't understand the dynamics?
In the UK, you kind of
look. What I focus a person should look at is to own a piece of land, work hard, acquire a piece of land. Because once you got that, you know you got a stake in the country, and those who are coming, they got to go and find money. I mean, a job to buy land.
Everybody has to do that.
But I'm saying you're here. Are you preach the right thing? Don't mislead people.
No, it's not about preaching, Stanley. It's about pointing out what the reality of the situation is.
The reality of the situation.
You're ignoring that.
No.
But that must be a part of the equation.
No.
And you must plan for that. What I was saying is that the rise of these people on the rise of these people on the right, as we've seen, is based on immigration. And whether it is a real or imagined fear, you know, it is there, and you'll have to find a way to deal with it.
People throughout history has been...
The politician has found a way to propel the argument and to fool those who are fearful that they're coming. There was a movie, The Russians Are Coming. And boy, everybody saw the Russians as the bad guy. It was a big movie. I'm saying to all people here, you have citizenship. You have the right to everything. And begin to plan. Begin to progress. And as you plan and progress, pretend you don't even have time to look back to see how far your opponent is behind you. But once you continue to go forward, and let no one fool you, you will accumulate, you will build, and ultimately, by the time you reach to your time given to you by God on earth, you would have accomplished. Let me tell you, those who are coming, they're looking for space. And if you have that space, and you work toward keeping that space, it means you reduce the space that they could have. Begin to look at it and preach the right thing.
Stanley, you used to be in the grocery business. Right now, you're not in it.
You know what?
You know what?
You know what?
You know how many have come in since and moved you out?
No, no.
Because they had the same opportunities as you.
No.
Plus, they came loaded.
No.
Yes. Don't say no.
No.
Because
I'm
you're no
telling you
longer
no.
there because you've been out of the business. Well, let me not pick. Not that I'm picking on you.
I thought you
Not that I am
But
picking on
I
you.
would
But
give
you could have
I'll give you
been.
the reason.
But you would have been in the business before they got here.
Right.
And you have people who came in and overtook you.
They
And now
didn't-
you're out of the business, basically.
Let me say this.
You have to understand
You want me to tell you
we're
the
talking
truth?
about here, Stanley.
You want me to tell you the truth?
Well, you know, it's not a personal thing.
No,
I
but
just
no,
said that
we
just
can even
because.
make it personal.
No, it
I'm not
doesn't
offended.
it doesn't have to be on the personal.
No,
thing.
what I'm saying to
But
you.
the thing is, opportunities
I
in
try
a
to-
fair system, opportunities are to be served, buffet style. That everybody get a fair opportunity to go and think. But the thing is, in reality, the human nature is once I'm born here, I want mine plated. Give me my opportunity plated. Shouldn't have to be standing in line, to choose, the other people who are coming, yes. But that is just the way it is now. So what we're saying is we have to start understanding the psychology of the whole thing. It's not just about you thinking, well, Stanley, for you talk a good game. But where are you today relative to who you were? How have you progressed? Who has moved into the marketplace? Look around, see how the big players are now, in the economic sphere of things. And we are dwindling. Maybe we should sell less to people who are coming in, but a lot of us would sell to the highest bidder, and then they come in and they take over, and so maybe we have to start retooling. Maybe we have to start even getting people back to basics as it relates to how they feel about their stature here, their status, because people sometimes it's just about money. You get $1 million for a property and you're gone, and quick time the money finish and you have no stake in the country anymore, but you would have satisfied that materialistic urge in you, forgetting that,
What?
Well, I'm not talking, but that might be true, Stanley. But I'm just saying, though.
We got to teach our people as to how they can stay in the game.
But you're not in the game yourself,
Because
He's out of the game?
No, because
long time.
I didn't know that.
Because it has been so much easier for people to come in and take over the game.
No.
And that is what is happening to
you
our
don't
people.
understand it, and I'm trying to explain it to you. Because
Well, maybe you could do that off here.
the game was to
But the truth of the matter is, we're gonna have to find a way to make people who live here, make the sacrifices, feel a little more comfortable and less threatened.
To bring our own along with us, but some of them can't see it. No matter how you try to teach them, they can't see it. You give them a little spoon and you feed them a little bit and they still not swallowing it. They don't see it.
Well, Stanley,
I'm telling you.
Maybe we have some re-education to do.
Plenty. Because I speak to people over and over and over and show them the way. That's the way. You have faltered, but you have not yet failed. Get up. That's the way. Follow that way. A proven way. But they're not listening.
Well, all I can say is that the politicians are going to have to start listening to the people, or else you're going to have more revolt, you have more Brexit.
We understand all that, but what I'm saying to you, don't be afraid of those who are coming.
Yeah, but you keep repeating that, but that is not.
I'm just saying to you,
that
we're
is no
already here.
consolation for me, mind you. I'm not afraid of anybody who is coming or going. But I'm saying the
take
people who are
your
here.
own positive way of teaching our people as to how they must go forward and upward. Some will be able to grasp it, and some will not.
And then immigration wouldn't be an issue. All right. If it's as simple as that, then I think we have it solved. Just between us talking. But I don't know it is as simple as that, and so there's must be some work.
For me, I'm multifaceted. So even though this has gone one, the other is still trumping along. Not trumping along, but going. All right. But we must begin to teach our people.
We must empower our people too. You can't just teach them; you must empower them.
Sure.
And you cannot put all in
education is empowerment. Sometimes you need a little something else to be coupled with that education.
Of course.
In order to get them to
And those
understand.
are the things that we need to sit down and discuss. The things that are going to help to empower our people. And not things that are going to break them down and make them more vulnerable. You know,
Well,
we have too many poor people in this place. It's
Poverty is a state of mind.
Poverty was 21.8% the last time they did a
of
poverty
mind.
assessment.
So much riches around you, and you can't see.
What
the fellow
rich?
was on the Amazon River, thirsty like nothing, and not realizing he's on fresh water. Put your bucket down.
Put
As
your
easy as
bucket
that.
down.
Put your bucket down.
As easy as that. It sounds simple enough.
Every Nigerian who wants a job can get a job, you know. The government has a program right now, the PEP program. Even some who have failed. They say 3 strikes and you're still in.
Yeah, but I don't know that PEP is going to get you out of poverty. PEP is going to help to keep you out of trouble for a little while, but it's not going to take
If
you out
you
of
have
trouble.
the wrong attitude, you will not be able to acquire the aptitude to get to the altitude. These are my statements.
That's the final word from Edric W. Stanley, the Honorable Spencer Brand, Ted Hobson, and Dr. Patricia Bartlett. This program repeats tomorrow at 10 o'clock following the VON News Minute. Join the Honorable Mark Brantley tomorrow evening at 8 o'clock for On the Mark. Thank you again for joining us. This is your voice in the community. Thought that get results. You all have a wonderful evening.